Hey teachers, what's up? This is me, Seth Perler, and welcome to video number 1 in my teacher series. Thank you so much for subscribing and signing up. Before I get into any of that sort of stuff, I'm going to actually backtrack a little bit because right at the beginning of this video, you've just signed up for my website, you've just signed up for this teacher toolkit. Right at the beginning of this whole series, I'm going to go straight for how do you identify the kids who struggle with executive function. The reason I'm going to go right here to how do you identify the kids who struggle with executive function is because if you can't identify the kids who struggle or have executive function challenges in your classroom, I don't care if they're in first grade or if they're in college. If you can't identify those kids, then my work means nothing to you. So the first thing I'm going to do is help you figure out if you should even be watching my stuff and if this fits for you. So here are some of the main ways that you are going to be able to identify if your kids struggle with executive function. Number one is that their grades are always suffering. So they have trouble with getting homework done, getting work done, completing work in a timely manner. They have a lot of zeros, missings, incompletes, late work. If they're in high school, they're always doing test corrections. That is who these students are. So number one, they struggle with grades, homework, schoolwork. They struggle with completion. Number two, in struggling with completion, there are three main parts of completion that they struggle with. They struggle with self-starting, so they procrastinate, they appear unmotivated. Some people would label them as lazy. I personally do not. So they struggle with starting, procrastination, self-starting, task initiation. Number two in that realm is they struggle with follow through, which is called task persistence. So they may start, but then they don't follow through. And number three, they struggle with completion. Maybe they've done 80 or 90% of the thing, but they haven't completed it, or it's been completed and their name's not on it, or it's been completed and they haven't turned it in, so they're getting a 0 for it anyway. So they struggle with starting, follow through, and finishing. Number three, they struggle with planning, planners, time management, anything related to calendaring, agendas. So these kids often have what's called time blindness. So they struggle with knowing what time things start, with being on time, with knowing how long things will take them. So they struggle with planning, calendaring, and managing time in some way or another. Next, number four, they often struggle with organization. Their backpacks are disorganized, their desks are disorganized, their lockers are disorganized, their desks are disorganized, everything tends to be everywhere. And they may appear organized, but oftentimes when these kids who struggle with the executive function appear organized, oftentimes they're just doing it to get you or their parents off their back. So if you really, it looks like things are straight, it looks like things are in order, but if you were to really pull the folders out and really look through what's in the folders, or if they put their notes in the correct notebook or things like that, they often struggle with that. So for example, you might look at their math folder and find science and social studies and random stuff, and the math paper that you're looking for is somewhere else. So these students will often struggle with those sorts of things. Another thing that these students often struggle with is they're often unrealistic about their ability to handle the executive function part. So maybe they're fully capable of doing the work cognitively, but in terms of execution, they're not executing the work. They're struggling with those sorts of things. So anyhow, I just wanted to give you a quick, simple way that you can identify, do I have kids who struggle with executive function? All the kids that I just mentioned are kids who struggle with executive function, or all the things I just mentioned represent kids who struggle with executive function. So I know you probably have a good handful of kids in your classroom that are struggling with this stuff. Now I'll back up a little bit. Hello. Welcome. My name is Seth Perler, SethPerler.com, obviously, because you've signed up for this teacher toolkit. I'm glad you're here. I've got about 25,000 followers all over the world. Most of them are parents, but probably 20 or 25% of them are teachers. So I make a lot of content for you teachers, because in order for me as an executive function coach to help kids who struggle with executive function, we are working with the whole system. I'm working with the student and the parents and the teachers. Everybody has to be on board, or everybody should be on board, if we're really going to help move these kids forward and give them the skills they need so they can be successful in school and ultimately successful in life. So, my whole practice as an executive function coach is dedicated to working with these specific struggling students. And in this series, I'm going to break down some of the most important things that I see, that I work with teachers around, that I'm able to help you with so that you will be able to better serve these kids. In this series, in this video, I really wanted to just get a quick one out to you about identifying these students. Next, I'm going to go into a little bit more depth about executive function and some of the myths and misunderstandings that people have about executive function, so you have extreme clarity about what this thing is and what's going on. Next, I'm going to tell you about some of the actions that you can take as a teacher in your classroom, in the way that you approach grading, in the way that you approach planning, so that you can better support these students with executive function. I hope this series helps you. If this has been helpful so far, please share this with some of your teacher friends. Share it in some teacher groups. Share it all over the place. I put a lot of heart and soul into my work. Please take a moment right now, grab the link from my main website and share it with someone. Please go to my YouTube channel, Seth Perler, Executive Function Coach on YouTube. Click subscribe. That helps my channel grow. Please click the thumbs up when you see videos that you like. That helps my channel grow. And support me in that way. I am going to deliver some awesome things to you in the next couple of videos. I hope this helps you a lot. And finally, thank you, teachers, for what you do. We need you. Our communities need you. Our countries need you. The world needs you. In my opinion, you have the most important job in the world. And I was a teacher for 12 years, and I deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate that you are in there, that you are helping kids, that your life is dedicated to trying to serve them, and that you're here on my site trying to dig deeper and look more underneath the tip of the iceberg to see some things that can help these students that are often misunderstood. So thank you for showing up in the world the way that you do and for serving kids.